Stories in the lead on eBotswana News tonight. Botswana bids farewell to former managing director. Progress on Donald Francistown Road. And number of unemployed graduates escalate. Welcome to the news at 7. My name is Bonatongwenya. Thank you so much for joining us. Making our international headlines, 2 people wounded in a shooting at a rally in the Thai capital. But before that, though, we'll have our local news. Last night, the Botswana Mining Company conducted a ceremony to bid farewell to Jim Goins, the former managing director. Goins, whose contract ended last year, December, has been replaced by Balisi Bunyongo.
When giving a keynote address during the ceremony, Minister of Minerals, Energy and Water Resources, Kito Mkaida, applauded Jim Goins for having led the mining company with good leadership and professionalism.
His contribution to the success of Botswana will not go unnoticed, as he spearheaded and saw through numerous initiatives that have cemented the company as a world-class mining company.
Chairman of the Botswana Board, Eric Mulale, also affirmed during the ceremony Jim's legacy of safety despite the 2 injuries that were reported in 2012.
We needed to get Botswana to greater heights. And in this instance, localization was not the issue. The issue was about who was the most suitable person to lead this company.
Gowan's mandate was to optimize and position Botswana's operations for continued profitability and growth.
The last 3 years, we really focused in on a lot of the people development, getting the right people in the right roles. And I think one of the things that makes me feel happiest is when I look at the operations, and I'm talking about more Puli as well as RAPA, that's the Canadian Dam Organization, as well as Juaning. I think we have 3 strong teams running 3 great operations.
eBotswana News, Gaborone.
Unemployment amongst the youth has been a predicament for years now. And in the past few years, the number of unemployed graduates has been escalating to the dismay of the youth and opposition parties who've been accusing the government of coming up with temporary relief programs like the internship, Ipelecheng and Tirelo Setšhaba, instead of creating sustainable employment for the youth. The government has finally pronounced their concern about the swelling number of unemployed graduates.
Among these temporary relief programs was a scheme in which some unemployed graduates were engaged as temporary teachers in schools around the country. Demoralized degree holders who are not trained to be teachers desperately grasped this chance to earn a living. While addressing staff at Moamogwa Primary School in Lidumadumani recently, the Assistant Minister of Education and Skills Development, Patrick Masimolone, said the situation is frustrating and demoralizing for young graduates, some of whom are stuck in one scale for a long time. He also said the situation has the potential to impact on the quality of education and the academic results at the end of the year. Masimolole said with this predicament and other challenges teachers have been complaining about, issues such as shortage of accommodation, lack of teaching materials, conditions of services, the poor state of infrastructure in school, teachers' salaries as well as working hours, there is need for these issues to be addressed if academic results are to improve. He, however, said the government is already working towards solving some of these problems. On issues concerning accommodation, Masimolole said the ministry is working on guidelines regarding rentals of private housing units by teachers, especially where the ministry is unable to provide institutional housing. Masimolole commended teachers for a job well done and said the government will absorb the temporary teachers whenever vacancies arise in schools. Karuma Command reporting for eBotswana News, Gaborone.
According to the Ministry of Transport and Communications, since December 2013, of the 43 affected households from the Somerset East, 20 residential property owners have been given compensation for making way for the reconstruction of the Donald Francistown Road.
The ministry said residents will all be relocated to Gerald Estates and will be compensated according to the level of developments of their current plots. The process apparently started with sensitive consultations, followed by valuation of the properties, and the offer letters were sent to those affected. Currently, only 36 out of 43 affected have accepted the offer letters, while 2 property owners are not satisfied with the offer. Their requests are under the Department of Land's consideration. One property owner in possession of 4 plots is not available, while 1 plot is still in a court dispute. 6 commercial plots are also affected, and the owners will be compensated but not relocated. Out of the 6, 1 owner accepted the offer, 4 others still have to respond to the offer, and the other one is still being traced. The delay in the relocation of properties has been handled mainly by negotiations at various levels and, in some cases, failure to locate the rightful property owners. Approximately 25 million pula will be used to compensate both the residential and commercial property owners. Garma Command reporting for eBotswana News, Gaborone.
Botswana's recent ratings by international indices continue to impress on paper. The latest is the Barometer, a research project that measures public attitudes on economic, political, and social matters in sub-Saharan Africa. The institution recently released its first transparent and accountable governance index, which rated Botswana number 1. More on that report is on Mokhatle.
Barometer results are based on face-to-face and house-to-house interviews of individuals. Botswana received a top score of 1.15, followed by Ghana with 1.04, Niger with 1.02, and Namibia, Tanzania, and Malawi with a score of 1.01. The survey also ranked perceptions as to whether heads of states and public officials were operating within the law. President Khama received the second highest score on the continent, with 75% of respondents agreeing that the president never or rarely ignored the cause of law in the country, while 8% were of the view that he often or always ignored the courts. With last year's case of civil servants against the government, where many had lost their jobs due to a strike that occurred in 2011 with over 90,000 employees participating then, asking for wage increase and being penalized heavily for it afterwards. Botswana's public officials were considered to be the most disciplined in the continent, with 63% of Botswana agreeing that they never or rarely went unpunished. Onemokhatle, eBotswana News Desk.
You're watching eBotswana News. Still to come, 2 people were wounded in a shooting at a rally in the Thai capital. We'll be right back shortly after the break. Please stay with us.